So obviously application questions are the hardest because I don't just give you the equations and say solve them. That would just be a process. I want you to actually come up with those equations yourself. So in a question like this, it's really important that you start by assigning your variables. And in fact, when you do your assessment, I will ask you to assign your variables, so make sure you're doing that. So when I assign my variables, all I'm saying to the reader, which typically is going to be me, is what does X represent in your question and what does Y represent in your question? So it's telling me what each variable represents. So here I have soft drinks and boxes of popcorn, and those are the two variables. So it doesn't matter which one you choose as long as you tell me which one is which. Now, what specifically about soft drinks and popcorn am I looking at? Well, if I'm looking at cost for soft drinks and popcorn, then that's what both of these are. So it's not just the number, it's the cost of each. Because at the end, it says use a system of equations to determine the price of each item. So I need to specify that I'm looking at the cost of a soft drink and the cost of popcorn. So let's take a look now at the equations I can set up. We're going to look first at Tom. Tom spent $15.50 on 3 soft drinks and 2 boxes of popcorn. Let's make an equation from that sentence. Do I care about Tom? No, I just care about a person. Spent $15.50 total, so equals $15.50 on 3 soft drinks. So if I took 3 times the cost of a soft drink, that would be how much Tom spent on soft drinks. And 2 boxes of popcorn, again, boxes of popcorn cost Y dollars. So that's my first equation. My next equation has to do with Carly bought 5 soft drinks and 1 box of popcorn for $16.50. So again, 5 soft drinks are X dollars. 1 box of popcorn, boxes of popcorn are Y dollars. Total was $16.50. So here's my 2 equations. So typically on a question like this, I'll say assign the variables, and then I'll say write the 2 equations, and then I'll say solve. So that's 1, that's 2. 3 would be to do what we've just practiced in our last video. So again, looking at columns, I can see this doesn't make me very happy because I don't have the same number opposite sign on either. But what I could do, it looks like I could take this second equation times -2, because then this would be +2, and 1 times -2 is -2. So that's how I'm going to choose to solve it. It's not the only correct way, but that's how I'm going to choose to do it. So that means nothing's happening to my first equation. So I'm going to recopy it as is. For my second equation, I'm going to take -2 times 5, -2 times +1, and 1650 times -2, which would be -33. Then, because I have what I wanted, which is 2 that line up nicely, now I'm going to add these things together. 3x plus -10x is -7x. My y's cancel. And then if I combine -33 and 15.5, I get -17.5. If I divide each side by 7, I get +2.5. So keep in mind that that will, at the end, end up being a price, because that's what x is. I do have to show where y came from, so I'm going to choose either equation. I'm going to choose that second equation, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. 5 times 2.5 plus 1y equals 1650, and again notice that's because I have now just one variable. 5 times 2.5 is 10. I'm going to subtract 10 from each side and get 650. So then I would write a sentence, which is typically, so this would be step 3, is doing all of the work to solve. And then step 4, and I'm not going to write out step 4 for the sake of time because this is already going to be an incredibly long video. Step 4 would be to write a sentence. The sentence would be, a soft drink costs $2.50 and a box of popcorn cost $6.50. And again, how did I know how to interpret these results? Because I assigned my variables. So we just did a cost question together. Why don't you press pause and try this cost question on your own. Remember to do all 4 parts, assign your variables, write the system, solve the system, write a sentence. Once you're done, press play to see how you did. So again, I'm going to read through the question, and it looks like I'm looking at tickets for a certain cost. So again, what am I trying to actually solve for? How many of each kind of ticket were sold? So on the last one, when I assigned, it was the cost of popcorn and the cost of soft drinks. This one, I'm going to say it's the number of tickets and the number of tickets. So what kind of tickets do I have? I have adult tickets and I have student tickets. So I'm just going to randomly assign X to be adult tickets and Y to be student tickets. So now let's take a look at how I can write my equations. My first sentence, 650 tickets were sold for a total value of $4,375. Okay, so what does that tell me? That tells me that the number of adult tickets plus the number of student tickets is 650 because this would be the total. So notice I haven't even used this guy yet. That's going to have to come second. 650 tickets is a number of tickets, so it makes sense that that would go with just regular X and regular Y. Now my second value, and I'm going to circle it in a different color, that I haven't used yet is 4,375. Now, why haven't I used it? Because that's a cost, and so I'm going to have to include the cost of each ticket in the equation that uses the 4,375. So if adult tickets cost $7.50, I'm going to take $7.50 times X, which is the number of adult tickets. Student tickets cost $3.50, so 3.5 times Y, and that's 4,375. So here's step 1, here's step 2. Step 3, remember I'm looking to hopefully solve this. So I want to either use substitution or elimination, and again, it's totally your choice when you're doing them. For me, I just say solve the system, so pick the method that you like best. So I could take each equation times, say, negative 3.5 to get rid of the y, but I'm going to do a different method this time. I'm going to turn this into x equals, I'm going to subtract y from each side, 650 minus y. So I'm going to choose to use substitution just to change it up since the last time I used elimination. So that means my step 3, I would have 7.5, and instead of x, 650 minus y plus 3.5y equals 4,375. So again, this time I am choosing to use substitution because I am replacing my value of x with something that x is equal to. Now I'm going to get my calculator out and take 7.5 times 650 to get 4,875. I'm going to distribute the 7.5 to the minus y. And then basically just recopy everything else. Then I'm going to subtract 4,875 from each side. And that on this side gives me 500. On the left side, I've got, oops, I don't know where that 4 came from. This should be a 5. On the left side, I have negative 7.5 and positive 3.5, which combines to negative 4y. So I have negative 4y equals negative 500, because again, I actually did two things in one step. That's sort of against the law, but you get the idea. And then I'm going to divide each side by negative 4 to get positive 125. So what I've just solved for is the number of student tickets. I'm then going to continue step 3 to solve for my other variable. I'm going to take x equals 650 minus y, and instead of y, I'm plugging in 125. So 650 minus 125 is equal to 525. So what is my solution? Again, step 4, I'm going to write a sentence, and my sentence would say, Findlay Community Center sold 525 adult tickets and 125 student tickets.